What is up, everyone? Welcome to this video where we're talking about two mistakes you should avoid in life and in art, right? So these mistakes are things that affect both simultaneously, especially if you're trying to do art professionally. Obviously, your life and your art becomes kind of intertwined. And these are basically two mistakes that I wish that I hadn't made. So this is just me talking about my personal experience, and I think you will agree with me that these two things would make your life harder if you don't learn from my mistakes. Don't repeat my mistakes, people. That's why I'm talking about this. So mistake number one is not developing discipline and focus. So this is probably the most important thing to learn in your early 20s, whenever you can, like no matter where you are. But if you learn how to be disciplined and focused in your early 20s, that is so beneficial, because I was not disciplined and focused. I was very scatterbrained. I would work hard all the time, but I wouldn't be focused enough to make proper progress, right? And that's the thing that most people don't realize, is that there's this idea that being disciplined and focused is more work than not being disciplined and focused, but it's not actually true. It's actually less work, because what happens if you're not disciplined and focused? So when I'm saying disciplined and focused, what I mean is that you know that you can set aside a certain amount of time and get something done quickly because you're only focused on a single task, right? Ooh, I hit my... And if you're only focused on one task, you will get way further than if you're multitasking. So there are certain tasks you can do that are multitask type of things, but if you're trying to learn a new skill, you need to be single task, single focused, right? Very focused on a single task for a period, especially if you're talking about art, you need to be focused for a fairly long period of time. You want to be able to focus for at least an hour at a time on just drawing or painting, right? And this is really important to learn. And as I said, it's more work if you're not focused and disciplined, because what will happen is you'll spend so much time stressing about the things you have to do, but you won't actually do them. So you're never actually relaxed. You're not switching between being focused on this task and then taking time off. What you're doing is you're just thinking about it the entire way through, not getting anything done, just being stressed out of your mind the entire day, and there's no win there, right? You're stressed, but you're not making progress. So it's like, what's the point? It's actually less work if you're disciplined and focused, because you could say, okay, well, I know if I spend this amount of time every morning to do this thing, it'll be done. And that means I can relax once I'm done with it, right? And that's especially important for creatives, because most of what you do in the creative field is going to be self-driven. You're not going to go to a job and have a job. And even if you do that, you have to be self-driven at the job. So being disciplined and focused is really important. And you won't even learn the skills to get that job, even if you were to get a studio job, unless you're disciplined and focused to begin with. And there's also a key thing to remember. You actually have more freedom if you have discipline and focus, because you can do more things in a day than you can if you're just chaotic and procrastinate all the time and don't know how to focus for a long period of time. The key to doing this, right? So this is, if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, he's talking about me, I'm not disciplined and focused. Here's what you do. Use a timer when you draw, or when you do anything that you want to be focused on. Be like, I'm going to work on this thing for 30 minutes. So on my phone, I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. Boop, boop, boop. Set that timer. As soon as you set the timer, you're only focused on that task until the timer is up. So make sure that it like makes a sound or something so that you don't have to keep checking the time. Put it down. Don't touch your phone. Turn off your notifications. Don't have other distractions, and then just focus for that period of time. And it can be really small, right? It can be really short. You can set 20 minutes and just focus on the 20 minutes, and that's good enough. And if you do that enough times, then you'll get into this habit of, oh, as soon as I do this, I know I'm going to focus and I can trust myself to do this. So the key to this is that trust with yourself. So you have to make sure that you're not cheating yourself. You're not going to trick anyone. And as you do this for more and more, you can start setting a schedule. It could be like, okay, 20 minutes in the morning, I'm gonna do drawing for 20 minutes and it's gonna be focused. So that's how you do it. Make sure it's incremental. Don't try to focus for 2 hours if you've never done this before. Start with 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a good period of time. Then slowly move to 30, 40, an hour. And then once you know where your limits are, right? Because your limits might be at a certain point in the day. You might only be able to focus for 1 hour, and that's completely fine, right? So set the time for 1 hour, then take a break and come back and do another hour. Like, don't try to force yourself to do more than what is possible for you, because then you're just going to be frustrated. You're not going to be disciplined that way. Discipline also has to do with forgiveness. You need to know how to forgive yourself for not being perfect in the beginning. So make sure it's incremental growth. That was point number one, mistake number one, not developing discipline and focus. Mistake number 2, and this is oh boy, it's a big one. It's having a fixed mindset. When I was younger, I definitely have a fixed mindset. What is a fixed mindset? A fixed mindset is the belief that your traits are fixed, that you can't change your traits, meaning that you believe in innate talent. You believe that I am the way I am and I can't change it, right? So a lot of times you'll hear people say that, oh, I'm just not good at this thing. What does that actually mean, that you're not good at that thing? What it actually means is that you don't have experience doing that thing, meaning you haven't practiced it. That's the truth. But it's much easier to say, I'm just not good at that thing, because that way you can just brush it off like, oh, I don't need to grow. I don't need to change myself. I am just this way, and you just have to accept it. This was a huge problem for me, because guess what happens? One, you can't take criticism, because if someone criticizes you, that hurts your self-worth. So the opposite of the fixed mindset is the growth mindset. In the growth mindset, if someone criticizes you, it's an opportunity to change. That's a good thing, right? Especially if it's good criticism. Obviously, if someone's just being negative, that's a completely different story. But if someone points out something that I can improve at, now I try to think, oh, this is a learning opportunity. This brings me closer to my actual goal. But before, I would take it really personally. If someone said something about my art, I would take it really personally, because it would hit my self-worth. Because guess what? If you can't change yourself, if you can't grow and you have a fixed mindset, your talent is innate. So if someone points out a mistake in your work, for example, in your art, guess what? They're pointing out a mistake in you as a human being, that's what happens when you have a fixed mindset. But if you have a growth mindset, you can just change. You can say, oh, that is true, that I do make that mistake. I can just change. It says nothing about my self-worth as a human being, which is so key to being able to improve. Whenever you ask art teachers, what traits in students that succeed, like what is a trait in students that succeed, the thing that they always mention is that it's always the student that seeks out criticism, which is the same as saying that the student that grows the most has a growth mindset. Because guess what? They're seeking out mistakes so that they can change, because they know innately, oh, I can change, I can grow. So if I seek out my mistakes as quickly as possible, I'll grow as quickly as possible. And that's how you get good. You know what I mean? Like, it's so crazy that I didn't realize this sooner. Because the thing is, it's emotional, right? If you have a fixed mindset, it's so emotional that you don't notice what you're doing. You don't notice how your beliefs are going against what the reality is. The reality is you can learn new things, you can grow. Guess what? You're not the same person you were 5 years ago. You're just not that person anymore. Guess what? Because you changed, you grew, which means that the fixed mindset is not true. It's just simply not true. Now, there's obviously limitations, but what are you going to focus on your few limitations instead of just growing and changing? Like, you really don't know what you are capable of. So just start developing a growth mindset. And the way you do that is by actively seeking out mistakes that you make. Prove to yourself that you can change and grow. And if it's too emotional in your art life, like let's say you feel too personal about your art, and to the point where you're not even able to seek out mistakes, try to seek out mistakes in other areas of your life and try changing that so you can develop a growth mindset overall in your life. There's certain things that might feel too personal to change right up front, so start with small things, small habits. One way I've been doing this very recently, like in the past 3 weeks, is I realized that I'm a person that thinks of myself as someone who takes hot showers. I take super hot showers, like all the way hot, like ooh, burn my skin. That's how I feel clean. If I take a burning hot shower, that's how I used to feel clean. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm just this type of person. I just don't like cold showers. So a couple of weeks ago, I decided, hey, you know what? No. I've decided this in my mind that this is who I am when I can just change it. 3 weeks ago, I was like, nope, I'm a person that takes fairly cold showers. They're not like super cold. They're like, I think for a normal person, it's like a normal temperature, right? It's cold. It feels cold to me, but it's because I'm used to hot showers. But I'm slowly moving myself to this area where I'm like, oh, now I'm a person that takes cold showers. And guess what? I used to think of myself as someone who takes hot showers. What other habits do I have that I think of as myself that I could just change? Guess what? I'm not this way anymore. I just don't do this thing anymore. You know, and that finding ways to do this in areas that aren't the thing that you feel too personal about will help you come back to that, right? So now I'm starting to see mistakes in art, trying to seek them out, and all of having this overall growth mindset will make life way better. You'll change so much. You can change in ways that you can't imagine. Like that's the exciting part about this, is as soon as you take this to heart, right, and actually utilize this, you can change yourself in ways that you couldn't imagine. You could become your role model, right? Like whoever your role model is right now, someone you look up to, you could have a lot of the same traits as that person if you develop a growth mindset. And if you think about this in terms of art, look at the art that you get inspired by, and think to yourself, okay, if I develop a growth mindset, I can make art that is this good. Maybe it doesn't look exactly the same, but it has the same qualities. You know, it's as good emotionally. That's the two mistakes. Those are the two mistakes that I wish I had learned sooner. And I hope that you learn from this. I hope you take this to heart, because that could save you tons of time. Life could be so much better if you just do the hard work, right? I'm not saying it's easy to learn these two things. Being disciplined and focused, it takes time to learn. It's taken me 4 years of having a regular schedule to teach myself how to be like this. I was not naturally organized at all in the beginning. But now that I've seen the benefits of it, I absolutely love it. I love the fact that I can just add something to my schedule, and now I'm learning it. Like I can count on myself to do things that are hard because I have discipline and focus, and I know I'm going to improve on those new things because I have a growth mindset. I'm going to seek out mistakes, and I'm going to try to learn, try to be better. Thank you so much for checking this video out. I hope this was useful to you. I really hope you take this to heart and use it. Please use it. If you like this, feel free to subscribe, stick around. If you're interested in learning how to draw, I have a bunch of drawing tutorials on the website that you can check out. And that's it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Oh, also sign up for the mailing list if you're interested in staying in touch. Bye.